we finally reached 1,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you guys. As a bonus, I got some giveaways, but before we actually get into that, I got a very important concept for you guys to go through because I wanted to give you some value today. And of course, to help us reach further and more customers and individuals or audiences who are looking to go through my videos and hopefully learn. Today's topic is going to be how you can reach a 780 credit score in a matter of 30 to 45 days. Now, this is not for everybody, right? It may not work for a lot of individuals out there who are just starting off and have a lot of work that needs to be done in the file. But I'm going to give you some step-by-step processes that actually can help you get closer to your goal much faster, more reliably, and efficiently than anything else before, unlike anything you've ever seen. Okay? And the reason I'm going to be doing this today is because, number one, I appreciate the fact that you guys have been following me for a while. You're learning quite a great amount of content, and I understand that you're possibly following me through to see whether or not some of the tactics that you've tried work, some of the stuff that, some are controversial topics, right? Like there's a lot of different things that people may not like what I say. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to satisfy emotional needs, guys. I'm not here for that. I'm here for you to help you in your financial situation, to make sure you go to where you need to be so that we can do business in the future together more confidently because we've been through the process of knowing exactly what to do the proper way. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you mentoring and guidance in a step that will make a difference on a reliable path and something that's going to be long-term instead of quick turnaround, right? So let's get to the topic of getting a 780 credit score in a matter of 30 to 45 days. Again, I said it depends on certain individuals, but in most cases, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process. This is going to make it easier for you to kind of attain that, and you get to your goals faster. So the first thing is you want to do, you analyze, right? What you want to analyze is, number one, your negatives. You want to analyze how many inquiries you have. You want to analyze your debt to income ratio, your debt to credit ratio. What are some of the utilizations? How can you tweak that? Right, calling credit card companies and asking them if they have balance transfer options available, right? All these type of things. So let's break that down. So the first thing I said is you analyze, right? What are some of the things that you need to look out for on your file that are detrimental, essentially, but these small little steps, these little tweaks that you can make to adjust your utilization, right? A small tweak that can put down the balance, that can increase your utilization, that can help on a positive payment history, and all these type of opportunities, right? So look at certain things that you can do to make quick adjustments in your credit report. And number one, like you guys know that I have this video out there that talks about the PI minimizer technique. And I'm going to go through something called the Trident Wave today that you'll learn. It's an enhanced strategy, much better than the 3 strategies that I teach in that video. But before we get to that technique, you need to analyze what are some of the things that you have to tackle right away. All right, so first thing could be, is your personal information consistent across all 3, or at least close to consistent? A lot of people have asked me, hey, Ali, they're not exactly showing the way it is. Some of them have one initial in the middle. Some of them have a last name that's spelled a bit different. You want to be as close as consistent as possible. Right? You want to be as close as consistent as possible because that's the only way that you'll be able to challenge these derogatory and negatives in a way that kind of puts them in a limbo, because now you have to figure out, or they have to figure out, truth be told, on whether or not they actually did report the accurate information, because this information can be inaccurate. One wrong name can mean a series or cluster of accounts that necessarily don't belong to your credit file. Right? That's engineering your file credit-wise to make it more viable for you. So that's why the PI minimizer technique is an absolute must. But we're going to talk about the Trident Wave and how you can make it more enhanced to help you create more success. So that's what you got to do. The first thing is analyze. Next is balance transfer or pay downs. Balance transfer or pay downs are very simple, right? What you have to do is you look at your debts. Let's assume you have a $5,000 debt in a card with a limit of $7,000. Your utilization is really bad, right? What you need to do is you got to pay that down. Technically speaking, there's 2 ways of increasing the odds of you increasing your score with that exact step. And all it takes is 2 simple things, right? What you can do is you can look at another card that you may have that doesn't necessarily have a lot of balance on it, but has a good credit amount. Maybe not $7,000, and maybe not enough to carry over your $5,000. Because if you do that, then what's going to happen is your other card's going to be maxed out, right? But what you can do is, let's say you have a card with $5,000 limit, and this one has a $7,000 limit, but this one has a $5,000 debt. So you don't want to take over the entire amount, right? So what you would do is you would call the one that has the $5,000 limit and ask them, hey, is it possible for me to get a limit increase? And there are 2 ways that this can happen. The first is they've actually done business with you for a while. You've maintained that account for a good time now. You have history with them, and chances are they might give you a limit increase without going through the hard inquiry process. And that's beautiful because we all want that, right? We don't want to do things that'll affect our credit even tiny little things at a time. So if that's the case, then they can actually give you a limit increase, you know, just like that. And if that be the case, maybe from 5,000 you can jump to 10, maybe 8, whatever the case. You don't want to carry the entire 5,000, but what you can do is you can carry 2,500. All right. Now, if you carry 2,500, let's leave this card with 2,500 with a utilization, which opens up the gap. But this one now is, let's say if you have 5,000, you get a 2,500 increase or $8,000 increase, right? So now you're carrying over a $2,500 debt on this one. So utilization basically dropped on this one. Yeah, this one increased a bit, but you still have that huge gap. And this one too, well over 50%, right? So these two little things can help you increase your score drastically. Sometimes I've seen customers increase by 80 points, sometimes 120 points. All these type of things, little adjustments, tweaks, right? But you have to start the dialogue. You have to call your card. You have to call the customer service. You have to ask them, hey, look, I've been with you guys for a while, right? I understand that you have sometimes promotions that are going on for balance transfers. I have debt on another card, but I want to pay that down. Do you guys have an opportunity for me to transfer that balance over? And if so, are you able to give me a limit increase so I don't use the max of this card because I want to keep room so for I can do future purchases, right? Some things like that is very important, but you have to be willing to open dialogue with the creditor. Some people are scared to make the phone call. They think, oh, I don't want to get rejected or whatever, but it's not a question of rejection. If they need your authorization to go through the pool of credit or let alone give you the approval to see if you qualify for a limit. So at the end of the day, you trigger that, right? If you don't say yes, then there's nothing that can be done. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call your creditors. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, right? So feel free to do that. Give them a call. See if you qualify for a balance transfer. See if you qualify for a soft increase in your file, depending on the history that you have. And those little adjustments and based on analysis can simply increase your credit score right there and then, right? But that's just part of doing what we need to do in the master plan. Next, you want to, like I said, you want to look at limit increases. With the one that you already have debt in, aside from the one that you're trying to obtain balance transfers on, the ones that you already have debt in, those are also opportunities for you to go out and start a dialogue and communicate with your creditor based on the customer service department to see whether or not they can give you some increase. Because if that's the case, what you're doing is you're increasing your utilization, your limit amounts. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if there's no hard inquiry processes in between. Because what it does is now it genuinely demonstrates to your creditors that you're able to borrow responsibly. If you apply for new financing in the future, what it shows is, okay, your creditors trust you. That means you're probably reliable, and they're gradually increasing your limits, right? And not even asking you, for your hard inquiry. So that's beautiful, right? So ask for limit increases with your other creditors. Look at the ones that we're going to target. See where you can swap the balances around, whether or not they have promotional rates. If you have some cash lying around, that's probably something you might want to do is pay down some of that debt, because we talked about pay downs, right? Pay down a little bit of that debt. You don't have to pay the whole thing, but if you have a little bit of cash lying around, like, some guys are going to get tax refunds, etc., maybe use some of that to increase your utilization and pay down your debt. What it does also, it actually increases the likelihood of them in the future when you ask for credit increases to say, yeah, of course. Because it shows, some small lump sums of cash put in the card on your creditor that shows, oh my God, this person actually does have money sitting around. They're just probably not using it all. So let's increase that so the chances of us making some money on the interest is probable, right? So that are some of the things that you want to do. So you want to first increase your utilization. You want to have some payment history there. You want to start building that, right? Another thing I want to tell you guys is, there are people out there that will offer you authorized users and things of that nature. You can do that, right? That's a definite. But look, if you guys have, family, friends, somebody that you know personally that has credit cards, and you can sign an agreement and say, look, I want to get your credit history, a little bit of that in my file so that I can use it for financing in the future. There's no liability to you. I'm willing to pay a little bit. And all I'm asking you is for to add me as an authorized user. And you can tell them, look, I don't need your credit card. You can actually take that card in your own address and tear it up or shred it, whatever you want to do as soon as you get that. But the only reason I'm asking for this is because you have positive payment history, and I want to leverage some of that to get some financing, and I'm willing to pay you for it on a personal note, right? So that's something that you can organize on the authorized user side, because what it does is you're leveraging their history, and all these good things, and that can help you increase your score. Now, all these tactics that we're talking about has to be executed within a matter of 30 days, including the Trident Wave that we're going to discuss a little bit, right? The reason why you want to do it in a matter of 30 days is if you're looking for that increase to reach that 780 score, you're going to have to do certain things, and you're going to have to take massive action before that time limit expires, which is, the 45-day around, right? Because as we're doing all these type of things, analyzing your credit reports, asking for balance transfer, calling the creditors to see if we can limit increases, asking individuals, friends, family, associates to whether or not they're willing to share their credit experience with us through authorized users and adding us to their file, to using the Trident Wave altogether is going to give you a significant increase in chances to reach a 780 plus credit score in a matter of quick days, right? A couple of weeks, literally. And at times, yeah, you may have to go a little bit beyond that period, but let's be realistic. We're not here for a quick flip. We're here to make execution as smooth as possible, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. So again, we start with analysis. You want to analyze your credit reports. Next thing you want to do is look at the balance transfers, right? Like I said, if you have a huge debt somewhere and you have other creditors that are open to it, and if you just give them a call and say, can I have a limit increase? Can I have a balance transfer option, etc.? And by the way, another cool trick is the balance transfers come with 0%, right? Very low. Sometimes not 0%, sometimes 4%, sometimes, but low interest rates, which means it gives you the opportunity, if you have money, is coming around or some funds and you have high income, you can actually pay that debt down even more. So what it does is over time, it's going to increase that utilization, which in turn is going to increase your score, right? So that's why balance transfers are beautiful, but they have to make sense, right? Like you have to have $5,000 to $10,000 there to make it work. Trick here is you might have different cards offering you different balance transfer options, and you want to take a jumbo debt and spread that through those other guys. That's a beautiful tactic as well that you can work on. Next, apply for limit increases, soft ones. Start dialogue with your creditors, companies, call them up and say, look, I'm looking to increase my limit. I don't want a lot. I just want to be, able to see whether or not I qualify without going through the credit reporting process, inquiry, so that at least, I can start building up my credit file. And most of the times, if you have good history with them, positive payment history, no lates, a good 6 to 12 months with them, you should be good to go. Next, get some authorized users, friends, family, associates. There are other service providers out there that do offer you this information. I think that, you can get it yourself, to be honest with you. Just call them, reach out to them, and most of the friends, family, associates, they'll be willing to do it. The reason of exchange for money is a bit risky. It's because if ever financial institutions crack down and audit certain individuals and question those individuals on whether or not, how did this work? Who is this individual? Did they financially compensate you to add them, et cetera, et cetera? That's a banking product licensing requirement, right? When you offer information or products or services based on banking systems to engineer, file, or credit authorizations, you're basically doing an illegal practice. Now, it's not illegal to add somebody in the credit, authorized users, but it is illegal to make revenue off of a banking product that you're not licensed to distribute, right? So that's one of those things. That's one of those things that you guys have to be careful with, okay? So that's what you've done so far. You've analyzed your reports. You look at balance transfers. You look at limit increases, what some of the creditors, if they're willing to do that. Then what you've done is you're asking for authorized users. You're communicating with friends, families, associates, even parents to see whether or not they can add you in their history to give you some limit increases. Now, there's a danger to this part. If they're not responsible, if they're highly unreliable, and you have to be honest with yourself, right? There are certain individuals that have a good positive payment history now, but do you foresee those individuals go through a financial circumstance? Is there a financial storm ahead, right? Think about that. Now, most people will add authorized users because they have good credit history, and that individual is willing to share it with you. But keep in mind, what are some of the life circumstances that they foresee in their short while? And you have to know this because they're friends, they're family, associates, they're close to you, right? So typically you start a dialogue, you conversate with them. You want to ask, hey, what's happening? How's your family doing? What's happening with your financial conditions? How are you holding up? Are you starting to build your wealth, et cetera, et cetera? Financial discussions that are not necessarily uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, some of the things that they may unveil, for example, my family, somebody in my family passed away, we're having financial difficulties. We're planning to host a funeral. We're trying to, start a wedding, or we're trying to do certain things. Those type of situations can actually allow you to negatively impact your credit score. Because what happens is if they borrow from that, in a foreseeable future, and let's say even like 60 days from now, whatever it is, it might affect your credit score. Because if the utilization goes up on that, it's a useless authorized user. It's basically adding more weight to your file that doesn't necessarily attribute in a positive way. But you have to be willing to ask those type of questions. The dangers of transactions over the internet or phone, an authorized user with people you don't know, is the fact that these things can happen. These things can happen, you're not even aware of it because nobody's going to bring you up to speed on what's happening. All right? So Of course, a lot of these authorized users do it in a matter of like, 60 days, 90 days. But the game of authorized users, you want to do something that's going to be long-term sustainable. You don't want to do it for 60 days and then you have to go out again. And well, you got to pay for that, right? I mean, you guys have to be financially frugal, but at the same time, be tactical about it. I just told you, communicate whether or not, hey, that individual is going to go through some financial storms ahead. Are certain things happening in his life or her life that's going to affect how they use their money or credit, for example, right? If that's the case, then you're basically putting yourself in dangers and harm's way. So be careful. Nobody's going to tell you this. Nobody gives a crap about, figuring those things out for you, because at the end of the day, give me your money. That's all they care about. But you have to take that responsibility, because at the end of the day, this is one of the most powerful tools in your financial arsenal to get you to building that massive wealth. So you have to nurture it and be careful with every move that you make. It's an asset, so you got to be careful, right? So that's the 4 steps to literally figuring out how to get to your 780 score or closer to that. Next, we're going to talk about the Trident Wave. All right, this is basically the video that you guys normally see where I discuss the PI minimizer technique, the item anchoring method, and then the 15-day power surge and the MVP method, which is the bonus, right? But the Trident Wave is a simultaneous attack, right? It's a simultaneous attack. The reason why you want to do this while you're doing all this is because all those negative items that are weighing down your credit score and essentially adversely affecting your ability to borrow or obtain financing or get into a home or get some car, whatever the case, right? Whatever the case, the Trident Wave is one of those more powerful techniques that you'll ever implement when it comes to helping you restore your file, right? And it takes the PI minimizer method, the item anchoring method, and the 15-day power surge to a whole new level, right? And this is how you do it. First, you got to take the PI minimizer. What you do is you enhance that, right? Enhance PI minimizer. And that is basically, you look at your credit reports. Here's a technique. You look at your credit reports, and you're going to see Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax list a series of names and numbers and addresses and social security numbers and phone numbers and employers and spouses and aliases. All that information, you look at it in a very detailed manner, okay? Don't get a report that you're going to obtain from, let's say, a third party that doesn't necessarily have all the information that you need from the day one. Okay, from day one. Meaning, like, let's say credit check total in the past, individuals got only a small number of personal identifiers, but when they actually obtain the final report, they see like, oh my God, I have like 30 names, right? 40 different addresses. How come credit check total only sees there's 3? You see what I'm saying? So you guys have to literally take your time to go out there and obtain those reports. Technique is, if you can't obtain one, annual credit check, annualcreditreport.com gives you a free one every year, I think. But you can actually call the credit reporting agencies and say, I've been denied credit. Truth be told, you can just say, I was trying to get into a course and I've been denied credit because I don't have sufficient. It could be my course. I don't care, guys. I just want you to get a free report. You're entitled to it. But at the end of the day, once you get that, you're going to see the full list of personal identifiers. And the enhanced method, what it requires for you to do with the PM minimizer technique to enhance it is look at the identifiers in it. You're going to see first and last name. Identification number is, let's say, a bunch of digits, right? A lot of people don't tell you this, but if you look at, let's say, Experian report, you're going to see first and last name, identification number, 13556. And then when you look at the negatives, you're going to see identification number, whatever it is, affiliated with A, B, C. Most of the times, they might hide that information from you, but the truth is, if you look at each of those personal identifiers, when you do the PI minimizer technique, the goal is to put that identification number. And as you put that identification number, what you do is you create a second letter with the item anchoring plus. The item anchoring plus is simple. The first letter is, here's a bunch of names, addresses, phone numbers, SSNs, etc., etc. So your first part was, here's my personal identifiers, and what you say at the bottom of that letter, you say, in the following letter, you will see a series of items that I've identified in terms of digits that are pertaining to those personal identifiers with the affiliations of those accounts that I do not recognize or are detrimental to my credit and are adversely affecting or negative. So you're anchoring that by using identification codes, but you're spreading that out, in 2 different letters. So that's a technique. And then we do the SIC method, right? SIC is single item challenges. The single item challenges is very simple. While you're doing the PI minimizer technique, you list your full personal identifiers. Then you tell them the item anchoring plus, which is in the following letter, you'll see correspondence in reference to this. Then you put all the negatives that are affiliated with some of the identifiers, and you can mix and match, and you can say all this type of stuff. And then the SIC method, which is single item challenge, is on a separate letter with those negative items that are affiliated with them. What you have is addresses of those creditors. What you can say is, I have challenged the following information with Experian, Equifax, TransUnion in terms of personal information, and I believe that some of these identification codes don't match. They're not my personal information. I'm requesting you to verify how did you obtain this information, and first of all, why are you reporting it in a status that is not compliant to the Fair Credit Reporting Act? That's the golden key, right? So once you do that, is you send off individual letters to those creditors, and you CC the credit reporting agencies, and you send them the same copy. So in this technique, the Trident Wave, which is the most powerful technique ever in the credit restoration space, is you will have sent 3 letters to the credit reporting agencies independently, all at the same day. 3 letters, right? You're sending the PI minimizer enhanced, you're sending the item anchoring plus, and you're sending the SIC method, which is single item challenge method, right? And it could be 10 items, and you can be having 10 different letters going to the credit reporting agencies all at the same time within that 30 to 45 day cycle. And you're sending those same item challenges to the creditors themselves, right? So now what you want to do is you want to notarize and have certified mail on every single item that you're sending out. You want to notarize it, and you want to send certified mail so that you have information retained on confirmations of when they actually get that delivery of items. What's going to happen is you're going to probably get copies and copies of credit reports being adjusted over time. Sometimes Experian may send you 4 to 5 different type of copies within a short period of time, saying we're still working on it, we're still investigating, etc. And by the time this technique is done and you've utilized the Trident Wave, you've made headway in terms of getting closer to your 780 credit score. That's pretty much it, guys. That's the breakdown, right? That is the breakdown. So one more time, the Trident Wave, the PI minimizer enhanced, taking all the personal identifiers from the original credit reports themselves and saying attached is another letter that describes the identification of items that may be pertaining to these type of personal information. And then what you would do is you create an item anchoring plus, which is say identifier this pertains to this, that, or identifier A, B, or C. You can say multiple identifiers with that one item. So what it does is it's going to confuse them. It's going to say, what the heck is this? It doesn't make sense. So most of the times they're going to try to get information from the creditor to see what's happening. And by the time they're actually reaching out to the creditor, you've already done your job. You've done the SIC method, which is the single item challenge. You've sent it to the creditor already. Now they got mail from not just the credit bureaus, but from you, notarized document, and saying, here's information that I do not recognize here, a bunch of personal identifier. Which of these information are you actually reporting? And how come you are not compliant to the Fair Credit Reporting Act? Right? That's what we call the Trident Wave. You're attacking them. And now, most of the times, most of these items will come off. If they don't, it's going to take a little bit of time. Nobody can predict that. Nobody can guarantee it. But you're increasing your chances and likelihood of getting those negatives removed in a very fast way. Okay? So that is the method you got to use to get a 780 plus credit score. Go ahead and utilize that, and you'll see yourself getting closer to your goals faster, more reliably, and more efficiently, right? And as promised, today's bonus I'm going to give you guys. So below this video, right, based on the information I share with you guys, whatever you learned, give me some feedback, give me some comment, share this video if you have to, and like this video, and you will qualify to obtain a free copy of my ebook that I wrote not too long ago, The United Credit of America, A Journey to Prosperity Using Your Personal Credit. I'll also give away 3 one-hour strategy sessions. That's a very in-depth strategy session. I break down your credit reports with you in your screen. I'll share it on Zoom or Skype, and then I'll show you exactly what are some of the things that we're going to take care of. And then I'll give you guys 2 master blueprints. Right? 2 master blueprints is exactly the method I use to clean up my credit and the people of my customers and some of my affiliates as well. So if you want that, you're going to qualify for one of these items. Red comment below. What are some of the things that you learned today? What are some of the techniques that you're going to apply? As well as share this video, give it a thumbs up if you like the content, and leave a comment below on what are some of the things that you found interesting about today's topic. And once again, I want to thank you guys for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. I love you guys, and I want to see more of you guys sharing my content, participating in our conversations so we can take it forward and help you build your wealth that you deserve. With that said and done, this is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafdar. Looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye for now.